Inspirational story about the Wright brothers, Orville and Wilbur Wright, focusing on their struggles, determination, and eventual success in inventing the first powered airplane. The Wright brothers, a tale of struggle, vision, and flight in the quiet town of Dayton, Ohio, during the late 19th century, two brothers would change the world forever. Orville and Wilbur Wright, born to a modest family, had no college degrees, no formal engineering education, and no funding from big institutions. What they had instead was a burning curiosity, a deep bond as brothers, and a relentless drive to solve a problem that had baffled mankind for centuries: human flight. Humble beginnings. Wilbur, the elder of the two, was born in 1867, and Orville followed in 1871. Their father, Milton Wright, was a bishop, and their mother, Susan, was mechanically inclined, traits they both inherited. From a young age, the Wright brothers displayed a keen interest in mechanics and design. When their father gave them a simple toy helicopter powered by rubber bands, their fascination with flight began. Unlike many inventors of their time, the Wrights didn't come from wealth or academic privilege. They built their own printing press from old parts and launched a newspaper. Later, they opened a bicycle sales and repair shop, where they honed their mechanical skills and earned a modest income. The bicycle business would not only fund their aviation experiments but also give them practical engineering knowledge. The dream of flight in the late 1890s. Stories of flying machines and failed attempts at flight filled the newspapers. Inspired by the pioneering work of Otto Lilienthal, a German glider pilot who died in a crash, the Wright brothers saw potential in solving the riddle of flight. They were determined to create a machine that could not only glide but also be controlled in the air and powered by an engine. But dreaming was one thing, building was another. The world thought human flight was impossible. Many laughed at the idea. Scientific institutions turned them away. Even family and friends doubted them. But the brothers remained undeterred. The struggle begins. Their first step was to understand the science of flight better than anyone. They read everything they could find on aeronautics, only to realize that much of the existing data was flawed. Most inventors had failed because they relied on incorrect assumptions. In 1900, they began conducting their own experiments. They traveled to Kitty Hawk, North Carolina, chosen for its strong, steady winds and soft sand dunes, ideal for test flights and crash landings. There, they faced harsh conditions, biting insects, extreme weather, isolation, and frequent equipment failures. Their gliders often crashed. One time, Wilbur was nearly killed. Another time, their glider produced only a third of the lift predicted. Discouraged but not defeated, they returned to Dayton each winter, revised their designs, and built better machines. Building a wind tunnel frustrated by unreliable data, the brothers decided to generate their own. In 1901, they constructed a small wind tunnel in their shop. Using dozens of miniature airfoils, they tested different shapes and wing configurations. This innovation was revolutionary. The data they collected laid the foundation for modern aeronautical engineering. Their wind tunnel experiments revealed that previous lift calculations were wrong. With this new understanding, they redesigned their wings to be more efficient and effective. Inventing control while others tried to build bigger engines or gliders, the Wrights focused on the key to true flight: control. How could a pilot steer and stabilize an aircraft in midair? They developed the concept of three-axis control: pitch, roll, and yaw, which is still used in every aircraft today. To demonstrate this, they designed a glider with wing warping, a technique where the wings could twist to control the roll. They added a movable rudder to control yaw. Unlike their competitors, who relied on instinct or guesswork, the Wrights approached flight as a problem of physics and mechanics. The engine challenge by 1903, the brothers had a working glider, but now they needed an engine. No car or boat engine at the time was light and powerful enough for flight. So they built their own. With the help of their bicycle shop mechanic, Charlie Taylor, they constructed a 12-horsepower gasoline engine made of lightweight aluminum, one of the first of its kind. It was crude but functional. They also built their own propellers, carving and testing dozens of shapes to find the most efficient design. The months leading up to their powered flight were filled with setbacks. Their first plane, the Flyer I, crashed on its first attempt. Parts broke. The engine failed. But they fixed every issue, one by one, with persistence and patience. December 17, 1903. The first flight on the cold morning of December 17, 1903, at Kill Devil Hills near Kitty Hawk, history was made. With Orwell at the controls, the Wright Flyer took off into the air and flew for 12 seconds, covering 120 feet. It was the first controlled, powered, and sustained flight of a heavier-than-air machine. 3 more flights followed that day, with the longest lasting nearly a minute. No newspapers reported it. The world didn't believe it. But the Wright brothers had done it. They had flown. Fighting for recognition despite their success, recognition didn't come easily. Skeptics dismissed their claims. The US government ignored them. Inventors in Europe scoffed. For the next few years, the brothers continued to refine their aircraft in secret. By 1905, their Flyer 3 could stay aloft for over 30 minutes and fly figure-8 patterns. Still, they struggled to gain support. They wrote to the US War Department offering to sell their invention. It was rejected. European countries were skeptical too. Finally, in 1908, they demonstrated their aircraft in France and Virginia. This time, the public could see it with their own eyes. The world was stunned. Suddenly, the Wright brothers became international celebrities. They had not only built the first airplane but had mastered the art of flying it. Legacy and lessons. The Wright brothers' story is not just about invention. It is about resilience, persistence, and faith in one's vision. They worked in obscurity. They were mocked, doubted, and dismissed. Yet they never gave up. They solved one of humanity's greatest challenges, not with wealth, but with brains, grit, and an unshakable belief in the power of discovery. Wilbur died young, in 1912, at just 45, from typhoid fever. Orwell lived until 1948, long enough to see jets, helicopters, and even rocket-powered aircraft. When he was a boy, flight was a fantasy. By the time he died, humans were preparing to go to space. Today, every airplane, every pilot, every space mission owes a debt to the two humble brothers from Dayton. They showed the world that ordinary people could achieve the impossible. Final thoughts. The Wright brothers weren't born geniuses. They didn't inherit fortune or fame. They became pioneers because they refused to give up. They questioned accepted truths, tested every theory, and embraced failure as a stepping stone to progress. Their story reminds us that no dream is too big if you are willing to work for it. Obstacles, ridicule, and failure are not the end, they are part of the journey. In the sky, where planes now soar freely, you can almost still hear the sound of the Wright Flyer's engine and the whisper of two brothers saying, "Yes, it can be done."